Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jeff Comstead, Communications and Outreach Coordinator with Prairie Rivers Network. And today, whoops, sorry, I was letting people in. And today we're going to be talking the Illinois Solar for All program with Kim Knowles. But before we get to that conversation, I did have some housekeeping items that I wanted to cover. Participants have been muted, so if you do have any questions, please enter them into chat, and we'll get to those during the question and answer period. And if you might have noticed, the presentation is being recorded, so we will have the recording of that on our YouTube page this afternoon when we're all done. I'll also be sending out an email to folks that might have missed the presentation so that they'll have that available to them. It's also being live streamed to Facebook, and so that people can see it there as well. And so, like I said, today we're going to be talking with Kim Knowles. She's our policy specialist at Prairie Rivers Network, and we're going to be talking about the Illinois Solar for All program. So, Kim, how's it going today?
It's going great, Jeff. Thank you.
Great. First thing to start out for folks that don't know what it is, what is the Illinois Solar for All program, and what is your role with it, and how did PRN get involved with it?
That's a lot of questions. Those are compound questions. Hi again, everyone. I'm Kim Knowles. I'm Senior Policy Specialist at Prairie Rivers, and I'm going to talk today about, as Jeff said, what's called the Illinois Solar for All program. It's really a wonderful program, and it was created in 2017 in the Future Energy Jobs Act. And what it is it's an income qualifying solar program. So it allows, we use the term low and moderate income. It's called we typically use the acronym LMI. And it's for households that earn 80% or less of median area income. So the income limits are based on where you live and also how many people are in your household. So for instance, I hope I can remember this number right. In Champaign, if you live in a household, maybe I wrote it down. Yeah. If you live in a household that has 4 people in it, the maximum income for the household to qualify is $55,600. So it's not just a low income program, it's also a moderate income program. And again, it allows qualifying households and other organizations to get solar on their properties. Generally, it's on roofs, but they could also be ground mounted. So like I said, it was created in FEJA. For those who don't know, that's the Future Energy Jobs Act. Recently, Illinois passed a wonderful energy bill called the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, colloquially known as CEJA, and CEJA actually increased the budget for Solar for All. We went from $10 million to $50 million. And there are actually 3 sub-programs within Illinois Solar for All. One of them is called DG, that stands for Distributed Generation. I like to call it the residential sub-program if you want to think about it as solar for people's homes. There's also a sub-program for nonprofits and public agencies, and then there's a community solar program. So today we're going to I work in this, my role is, you asked me my role, right, Jeff? My role is twofold. One, I work on solar policy, and what those in the field tend to call this is solar access, and that is advocacy work that increases the access of low and moderate income families to solar. Typically, we see solar on middle and upper income households. So solar access is generally work that is aimed at increasing who gets access to solar. So my focus is on solar access. And again, it's twofold. I do policy work to form programs like Solar for All and to make sure they're implemented the way that we want them. And I also do Solar for All education. I'm what's called a grassroots educator. And through that work, I educate communities and nonprofits about the program And I've actually taken a step further. This is my third year as a grassroots educator, and I really focus my work on ensuring projects actually happen. You know, I work with Habitat for Humanity. I work with the Housing Authority of Champaign County. I work with agencies that have contacts with LMI households. I also work with solar developers to get these projects on roofs, to get panels on roofs. That's my mantra, getting panels on roofs. That's a little bit about the program and my role.
So you mentioned the qualifications, but can you go into more detail
Oh, yeah.
as to like how, what are those qualifications? Like what, so that
Yeah,
folks can know.
So first off, you have to qualify again based on your income. So depending on where you live, and how many people in your household, there's a limit. So you would check out your income first and see if you qualify. You also, of course, have to have a roof that can support solar, right? So it has to be structurally sound to support solar. And generally what happens is they say you should have 15 years of life left on your roof. And then, of course, you need to have enough sun, right? Typically, these projects aren't rejected because there's not enough sun. There actually is enough sun in Illinois, but you might have a lot of tree cover and it wouldn't make it worth it to go through it. So those are the three things. And we call those, collectively, we call that solar ready. The home is solar ready if you've got the structural roof. Also, electric has to be up to code and be able to handle the system. And then there has to be enough sun.
So is there a particular need right now to be promoting this program and getting more people in the program? Are rising gas prices an issue, or electricity prices? I mean, what is the need for like getting the word out about it right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure everyone on the call is aware of our rising electric prices. We're going to see, I guess it's in a few days now, we're going to see a 50% rise so typically how we're charged for electricity is by kilowatt hour. So you're charged by what you use in addition to fees that you pay. Typically, we've been lucky in Illinois. We've had relatively low electricity prices per kilowatt hour. They're supposed to increase by 50% over the summer and then 100% in the fall. So this is a really great, I think it was always a great time for Solar for All, frankly, really to spread the benefits of clean energy around between classes and areas. But even now, so many households will be struggling with rising electric prices, rising gas prices, and inflation in general. So to be honest with everyone, it's been a struggle as a grassroots educator. My work as a Solar for All policy advocate has been very fruitful. We've won a lot of gains in this program, and I say we, it's not just Prairie Rivers Network, we're part of a coalition. And there is a working group called the Solar for All Working Group. It's made up of advocates like us. And we've actually been very influential in how the programs has been designed and how it's rolled out. And I do a lot of that work. And that's been very successful. But grassroots education work has really been a challenge for a number of reasons. One was COVID, of course. Pre-COVID, I started this work pre-COVID, and we could have events in person and meet and talk to people one-on-one. And I did events at Habitat, but then COVID came. But in addition to that, I haven't mentioned this yet, but there are, so how this works is it's a partially market-based program, right? So the state of Illinois, through the Illinois Power Agency, offers incentives to solar developers to do the Solar for All projects, right? So if you, let's say you are Sun Ready Solar Company and you want to work in Solar for All, the state regulates the program, pays incentives, but it's up to the market of solar developers to say, yes, I want to do these projects. It makes sense for me. I can make a profit. I care about this. I want to do these projects. So there's that. And what has happened is a couple of large companies have figured out that, large and not so large, figured out that they can offer these solar systems at no cost to the customer, right? No cost to the customer. And it's such a good deal that folks don't believe it, right? I mean, we're talking about LMI, low and moderate income communities. I failed to mention, there's also prioritization and emphasis on environmental justice communities. And these are folks, many of these folks have historically, I don't know how to say this, challenges, right? Due to racism, due to under disadvantaged communities, under resourced communities. And there's a trust issue, and it seems too good to be true. So that's been a challenge, but I'm really happy to say that after 3 years, this work is finally, things are finally starting to take off. We did our first Habitat for Humanity solar install like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I was going to try to show you some photos. Would this be a good time?
Yeah,
See if I can do that.
I would think so. I mean, you're bringing that up.
Let's see. So this is our first Habitat for Humanity install. It's the Barmaki family. And then behind him, you see, I think this is one of the larger Habitat homes. I think they're 1,400 square foot. And you see the solar panels being installed. And let's see. Oh, what happened?
I think that was the third image in the series of images. The presentation ended for you, I think.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to show you my partner in crime here. See, I'm not so good at this. Give me a second. There he is. Okay, so this is my partner in crime, Robert Hirschfeld. I hope a lot of you know him. He's also on the Prairie River staff. And one of the things, addressing this trust issue, one of the things that we thought would be important to do would be to make video testimonials of those who have been through the program, to help build trust, to help show other people like, yes, this is a great program. Here are people in it and benefiting from it, and it's real. So we are doing a series of videos and distributing those. And I just wanted to show you Robert. And the other photo I showed you was, again, the first Habitat family that has gotten an install in the state. And that happens to be in Champaign, and due to the work of Prairie Rivers Network.
Yeah, and Robert also does all of the behind the scenes video editing and putting those videos that you're talking about together. He actually
and they've been really popular. They've so one of the things I was going to talk to you about later is you were going to ask me later. Are there others working in this? And there are 10 to 12 organizations around the state that have been awarded contracts from the state, like Prairie Rivers, to do the Solar for All grassroots education. And so there's a cohort of us, and we actually meet once a month. We share stories, we share tools and information and products, and our videos have been really popular with the cohorts as well. So we would like to take a couple minutes now and show you a video of a DG install, a woman who got a no-cost solar system in South Chicago. And I think Jeff can do that. He's better at that than me. And again, this was made by Robert, produced by Robert.
I think saying that I'm better at it might be an overstatement. But well, thank you for that. Thank you for that confidence. Right? Let's see. Let's see if you can hear it.
Hello, my name is Marie Cunningham from Chicago. I'm in the Roseland area, and I just want to tell you about Solar for All. I can honestly tell you it has saved me a lot of money. At first, I was skeptical. I was nervous. I wasn't sure if it was they were telling the truth. Being an older lady, I'm considered a senior. They have so many gimmicks and so many fraud, and so I was nervous. But with BJ, I was comfortable. She explained everything to me, and at that point, I let my guard down, and I was able to hear what she was actually trying to help me to help myself, help me to save money, help me to allow this program to come into my home and to work for me. I will recommend it to anybody because I actually see that it works. I am truly a witness that if you give them a try, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I would recommend it because Solar for All is for all. You know, they don't discriminate. It's about all of us trying to help one another save money and to do the right thing as far as making our homes where we can afford them. So yes, I recommend Solar for All. The sun is where the solo is. See, they talking to each other, look. Save Marie money. Save Marie money. Oh, that is the truth. Sun, house, see that? They go together. Solar panels. It's working for me. I would recommend it.
I love that video. It's great because that was just her. We didn't feed her lines. We didn't feed her lines. You know, when we do these videos, we start by saying people are shy, and we start by saying, asking them questions. And then over time, they find their voices, and it's authentic and wonderful. So this is really a great tool. And it's as I said, the other grassroots educators and the agency. So there's the Illinois Power Agency runs this program, but they have a program administrator, and that organization is Elevate. And they also love these products and will post them on their websites and use them as well. So we've been able to create a lot of great products for the program generally. And I don't know if I said this already yet, but we got, you know, due to my work over the years, cultivating relationships with people and with organizations like Habitat for Humanity, it's been a challenge. Again, because of COVID, when we weren't meeting, but then like, we're not really post-COVID, but the new COVID phase, people are struggling, losing staff and struggling to keep up with their duties. So it's really took me 3 years of cultivating these relationships and building trust. And now Habitat for Humanity in Champaign is open to putting solar on their, what we call new builds, right? So what happens with Habitat is interested homeowners, I think folks may know this, interested homeowners have to put in a lot of hours, like 200 hours on helping build homes so they can earn their own home. And what was I going to tell you? Oh, so what happens is at first the Habitat organization builds it and owns it for a certain period of time. And then the homeowner is renting and then takes ownership. And I'm telling you this because it's important, because Habitat for Humanity as an organization has agreed to put the solar on the new builds, which means there's buy-in from the organization, and perhaps every new build now could have solar on it through this program. So that's amazing, and I'm so happy about that. In addition, we've made progress with Habitat for Humanity in Will County, which is wonderful because it's a much bigger program and there are more homes. They have about 20 new builds on the horizon, whereas in Champaign, it's like 4 as a comparison. So I've made progress with Will County, and they also are interested in the new builds, and they're also interested in helping me reach out to existing homeowners who are already in their homes, like the Bermakis have been in their home. So I'm really excited about that. The other thing I didn't mention is that I've been also cultivating relationships with the Housing Authority of Champaign County. They have many multi-unit properties in Champaign County that provide housing at affordable housing. And again, the challenge has been staff changes and executive director changes. But again, I feel like right now this spring, things are really starting to take off because we have our first site visit at a property, a housing authority property, which if it works out will be 50 households with solar. And that's just the beginning. So I'm super excited, super excited. I feel like we covered so much of what we were going to, Jeff. I guess
Well,
I want to.
There was one question that we have not certainly hit, was how much can people save by doing this? You know, I mean,
That's a good question. And then I can explain like how you actually save, right?
yeah, because like Marie talked about how much money she's saving. So yeah, if you could cover that, that'd be good.
So what happens is when you get solar, whoever you are, when you get solar on your home, you still maintain your connection to the grid. So let's say you're in Ameren, you still will have your meter, you still will have an account with Ameren. The solar, as it generates energy, will replace what you need from the grid, right? If you have the ideal situation, it could replace 100% of electricity you're buying from Ameren. Now there are some charges from Ameren that you can't replace, but essentially there will be times where you're not buying any supply energy from Ameren, right? So your bill is going down, right? The systems generate the most, I think this is right. It's logical. The most energy when there's the most sun. So there will be times when a household like the Burmakis the system might produce more energy than they're using, right? And so that goes back to the grid. If they don't use it, it goes back to the grid. And under the law, Ameren, or the utility, if it might be ComEd, has to give you credit for that excess energy. And we call that net energy metering credits, right? So the utility is responsible for tracking that and giving you a credit on your bill. So in the summer months, say you're generating credits and they can carry over to subsequent bills till the end of the year, to the end of the year, which in this case, I think is March. So you build up your credits, and then in the winter, when your system is likely to be producing less solar, you can actually use those credits. You can use those credits. You don't have to use those credits if you don't need them, right? So that's how you save. You save through using less from your utility and by also getting credit for the excess. And I can't say how many dollars because it depends on the system size, and it depends on how much electricity the household uses, frankly.
Okay,
So,
I mean, that makes sense.
You know, I know Marie is saving, just as one example, and she's the only one in her household. She's saving about $100 a month, which is really significant.
So you might have already touched on this, and if you did, I apologize if I missed it. But how are the solar companies able to offer such a good deal to folks? I mean, does it cost them anything for the install?
Yeah. So that ties into another thing I wanted to address, which is like, who's paying for this, right? So you and I are paying for this unless you happen to get your energy from a cooperative. We pay, ratepayers have a small charge on their bill. I checked my bill one month and I was paying $1.20 that month for this program. So ratepayers, it's not taxes. And what did you ask me? Oh, how do they do it? So, not getting too into the weeds. There are these things called renewable energy credits, which are commonly called RECs. And a solar system, it's like how you value the environmental benefit of a solar system. And so a system that's a certain size will generate a certain number of RECs, right? Renewable energy credits. And the state or the utility pays money for those, right? So we've created this Solar for All program by statute. It's run by the Illinois Power Agency, and they have a budget to buy RECs, right? And so they set the REC values. The Illinois Power Agency, with influence from stakeholders like Prairie Rivers, like the utilities, they set the REC value using a model, and they set the REC values for the Solar for All at a higher value because they're more difficult to develop. there's a number of challenges in developing these projects. So they pay, it's like money, the state is paying the developer to do these projects. And some of the companies, when they ran the numbers and figured it out, thought it was easier for them to not have to keep track and bill a customer every month for the solar. So they're offering it no cost. And another thing I should explain is if it's not required that they're no cost, right? But what is required is this savings of 50%. And this confuses everybody, and I'm sorry if it's confusing, but folks like Clark will clearly get this. So let's say I said before we're paying this summer, let's say we're paying 9 cents per kilowatt hour, right? So you get the solar on your home, your solar for all, you get the solar on your home, you're getting solar. And if it's not free, the solar company can only charge you 50% of what, say, Ameren is charging you. So Ameren is charging you 9 cents, they can only charge you 4.5 cents, right? So that's the 50% savings. So you're paying less for your energy that comes from the solar. Also displacing what you need from Ameren. So that's the savings, that's the guaranteed savings by law. It just so happens that, again, they figured with all the administrative costs that and the difficulty of obtaining customers, that it was cheaper to offer it at no cost to the household. Does that make sense? Sort of.
I mean, I think so. Like you said, I'm sure Clark will get it for sure. So this program is going to be around for a while, right? Is that because you said it's in statute, so it should be around?
Statutes can be changed, of course, but we're going into our 5th program year. It's very popular. As I said, the Clean Energy Climate Equitable Jobs Act increased the budget by 5, right? We went from $10 million to $50 million. It's a big budget. It's going to be around and it's popular. So I really look forward to, my goal is to get as many of these panels on Habitat for Humanity homes and Housing Authority homes as I possibly can. And we're on the road.
Great. Well, unless you had any specific points you wanted to raise before we went to the Q&A portion, I wouldn't mind. I'll move on to my kind of closing remarks, and then we can go into the Q&A because we do already have 2 questions that people have posed. So did you have anything else that you wanted to say before we did that?
There's one thing I wanted to say for the Champaign-Urbana folks. And today we only talked about again, it's called DG, or residential rooftop solar. There's also this very popular program that's using all of its budget called the Nonprofit Public Facility Subprogram. And that is for projects on nonprofits and public agencies that are located in low-income or environmental justice communities and that provide critical services for low-income environmental justice people. So we have a lot of these. We happen to have a lot of these in Champaign-Urbana. And just a few, for example, Lincoln Legal Aid has one. What's it called? Cunningham Children's Home has one. Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club has one. Crisis Nursery has one. We've done some videos with them to also show video testimonials to show people love videos with children. So those are very popular. And then there's that 3rd sub-program, which is the community solar, which I haven't talked about at all. We also have a community solar project under Solar for All in Urbana, at the old Urbana landfill. Oh, and then I just wanted to say, if you know of any households that might qualify, or organizations that work with households, any kind of a contact, it would be great if you let me know, because I'm always looking for new ways to engage people.